Hello everybody, and welcome to this quick little video. I want to kind of recap 2024, where this channel's been, and talk about where we're going. I started my channel in 2024. First video was uploaded actually in February 13th, 2024 to be exact. And since that time, I've had 258,000 views, 64 videos I've uploaded, most of which have been part of the Action RPG tutorial series. 10,000 likes, almost 11,000 there. 1.3 thousand comments, which is quite a few, and I've amassed 4,850 subscribers. And so this video is to all of you who've been following along. I just am so appreciative and grateful for this journey and where it's brought me. You know, I started the channel with the idea that I just wanted to start sharing some of the content I was making. And I did that for a couple reasons. One, because I noticed that sometimes the content I was looking for wasn't there. And if I was putting forth the effort to figure out the answers to a lot of my questions, then why not share it? And I took an unconventional approach with the Action RPG tutorial series. Not only is it a really long-running tutorial series that's quite in-depth, I was also exposing all of my good and bad code, giving a lot of it away for free, or actually with this series, all of it for free. There's a GitHub repository where you can see that and access that code. I went through line by line almost all of the code I've written, and I've shared art assets, stuff that I think normally would be part of a paid course. It just seemed like a great way to get started and start sharing things and give back to maybe one of my passions and hobbies that I've enjoyed so much. And in regards to that action and RPG tutorial series, I've made 60 videos, which is a lot. Player movement and state machine videos. We've covered how to make a player, how to make a move, how to build a robust state machine to control that player. The animations, audio that I've provided. Haven't covered yet how I make my audio or how I draw the sprites. We've covered how to create tile maps, how to use those to make our levels, complete with collisions. We've got enemies with basic enemy AI and a few advanced AI techniques. We've built an inventory system. We've got NPCs with dialogue and basic behaviors, as well as a quest system. And of course, there's a lot more that I haven't mentioned in this little list here. And I've got more planned for the future. But before I get there, I want to talk about some of the lessons I've learned along the way. One of the early issues I had was background music in all of my videos. And I had several comments of people who were pretty unhappy with that. And so I've removed that. I do wish I could get back to it because I enjoyed it, but I understand going back, especially as I was learning how to improve my audio recording quality and just deal with all of the things that go along with the territory of recording and creating this content. I had issues communicating my code because of a few things like small, hard to read code. I was using the code ligatures, which meant that, you know, things like two equal signs got converted to a large looking equal sign and things like that were hard for newcomers to understand, and they were wondering, how did you type that and how did you get that in there? I've also learned that I need to put more comments in my code, especially for those who are looking at the code repository. It's helpful for them to be able to see and remember maybe what I was thinking when I wrote the code. I also want to make more custom nodes. So with the dialogue system, we've got some nodes that you add through the Godot add node dialogue because of the way we've built those, and I really like that, and I want to do more of that. And I want to show more of my debugging and troubleshooting process when it seems appropriate. It's hard to want to include all of that, of course, when I'm making a video, because sometimes I'll go off on a tangent and I have to redo the work completely, and it could be a waste of your time. But on the other hand, it's pretty important to be able to show how to debug and that it's normal, that it's okay to have issues that you need to troubleshoot and debug. I do appreciate the many people in the comments who've pointed out how they've encountered issues and how they've solved them. The troubleshooting and debugging process is not only an important skill for any developer to learn, but it is an opportunity to learn quite a bit. And so congratulations and kudos to those of you who've put forth the sweat and tears to figure out those issues that you have on your projects, because truly it's going to make you a better developer. Now, I've also started to grow my community in other ways. So I have a Discord channel, as well as a Patreon, and those are linked in the description below, so you can check those out if you haven't already done so. We've got 326 members on Discord. which isn't ginormous by any means, but it's an awesome community. There's some great people in there who are willing to help and share, check your code, bounce ideas, and a lot of learning and growing going on in that server. I've also got a Patreon, which currently at the time of the recording of this video has 16 paid supporters. I am extremely grateful to them. It's a pretty vulnerable thing to do, to start a channel like this and do it for free and then to ask for money. It feels a little bit like begging, which is not really what I wanted to do, but there were a lot of people who commented and expressed a desire to support me in some way and wondered how they could do that. And so it took a while, but I settled on Patreon because it allows me to keep track of the members in a good way. It helps me grow a community of interested people that, as I've done so far, given them opportunity to support by weighing in with opinions on a couple polls that I've done. And I'm also going to be I've given a little bit and going to be giving more extra content to those who support me on Patreon. And so thank you so much to those of you who've decided to join in and do that. And I hope that it's worth it as we move forward. Talking about that a little bit more, I have recently done a poll to my Patreon members and asked what kind of topics they'd like me to cover in the near future as I begin 2025. And as you can see here, a result of that poll, and I'm not going to give the numbers because I guess you know that there's only 16 paid, so there's not a lot, but the majority of the votes cast in this poll were for a video covering character statistics, a leveling system, and gear. And so that's going to be my primary focus going into 2025. They also, second top voted item was for new enemy types and behaviors. And so I will be building that as well. And I've got a few video topics planned around that, as well as a time of day system, which we'll build in our action RPG tutorial. We'll have, basic time of day that will affect the global lighting and things like that. More character abilities. And then also I've started working on actually a new series for a 2D platformer. Here it says State Machine. I'll be covering that primarily, how to make the character controller for a 2D platformer, and cover some of the basics on how to make a really nice, clean and tight feeling platformer controller. And only a few people chimed in that they had a request or an idea to share, although I did get a lot of other comments with fun and awesome ideas from my Patreon members, and so I'm going to do my best to integrate those into my plans for the future as well. What that looks like is I'm making more 2D action RPG tutorials, and if you look over at my Trello, we can see that I've already got a list in the planning and pre-production column here of videos that I'm going to make related to that poll. And some of these might grow or shrink in the number of videos, but you can see there's a hefty list there covering player statistics, leveling, gear, a shopkeeper, and so on. And so the link to this Trello will be in the description as well if you want to check that out and follow along as I update it. I don't always keep this super up to date because sometimes I forget that it's there because I'm so busy with other things, but I do update it from time to time, and it is a good resource for those of you following along with this series. I'm also going to be doing a small series I've decided based around programming patterns and how to implement those and utilize those in Godot 4. Obviously, we have used programming patterns in the Action RPG tutorial series. The player state machine is a classic example of one of those. But we'll also cover some other topics, and it'll be a good opportunity for me to increase my knowledge and understanding of how to implement some of those patterns within Godot, but also share that knowledge with you. And these types of patterns that we'll cover, like the state machine, command patterns, creating pool systems, using things like message bus systems, all of these will help us understand and maybe teach some of the core basic concepts behind some of the things that we're doing in the AARPG tutorial series. And they're super applicable to games of many types. So I'll be doing a video series on those, and I'm just going to create those as I have time and interest and fit those in. So look forward to that. I also have the previously mentioned 2D platformer player controller series that I'm going to be starting. And this is going to be fun. We're going to cover some basics, maybe something that looks a little bit like Mario Brothers, except for maybe not Super Mario Brothers, maybe like the Super Marlow Brothers or something like that. And then I have coming for specific and exclusive to my top Patreon Pixel Adventurer tier supporters, I have what I'm calling the Pixel Adventurers Forge. And this is going to be some exclusive content for those who are supporting me at the highest tier level, and it will include access to exclusive code and other content that go along with some of the videos and things that sometimes I might not be able to share, or sometimes just general stuff that I'm developing. And so you can expect to see things like example projects on how to implement certain features or work with certain features, working with data, the programming patterns that I'll be demoing, and other things along those lines. And of course, I will have ideas from time to time, and as much as I can fit it into my life, I will be creating content related to all sorts of video game development related topics. So look forward to that as well. It's been an awesome project over the course of 2024, and I look forward to continuing to provide awesome content throughout 2025 as well and beyond. And I look forward to hearing more from everybody that's been following along. And I'm grateful for the support, for the encouragement, and for the enthusiasm of all those who've been along with me on this journey. And as always, we'll see you next time.